Continuing from the last session, in this session, we will practice how to load old data, network editing, and explore the remaining basic functions of TOVA. This time, I will explain the section for entering OD traffic data. In this case, we'll input vehicle traffic data. The input process is the same as for network data. You can use the import option within this data table to import the data. When you input data this way, it doesn't necessarily include all possible zone-to-zone data, as it excludes lines where there's no trip, for instance, from Zone 1 to Zone 2. To ensure you have all the zone-to-zone data lines in place, you can choose to initialize the table from the menu and then proceed to update the data. When you initialize the table, it creates an old table for all zone-to-zone connections, but the trip volume for each mode of transport is initially set to 0. You can then update this data with the information you're currently importing. After updating, you can see that there are approximately 198.6 auto trips and about 2.8 taxi trips from zone 218,474 to zone 586,146, with the unit of data being trips per day. You can also check the trip volume for other modes of transport. You can import data in the same way, and when you want to export the data, you can use the export function from the menu or the export feature in the data section at the top to export the relevant data. Exporting data is a concept similar to importing data. After selecting where you want to save the data, you can enter the file name. Then, you can choose whether to include column names in the first row of the file, meaning whether you want to include column names like origin, destination, auto, taxi, bus, and so on in the output file, or if you want to export only the raw data without column names. Next, you can choose the delimiter that will separate the columns in the exported file. You can also select which specific data you want to export after making your selections. Clicking OK will save the data to the specified path as shown. This concludes the explanation of the import and export functions. There is a section for checking if the network, meaning the node and linked data that you have loaded or created, is suitable for highway assignment. You can find this in the main network menu under Network Data Inspection. When you click Network Data Inspection, you can choose whether to check highway network data, transit line data, or both. Additionally, if you have turn constraint data in your network, you can choose whether to apply it during the check. This check helps ensure that the network is correctly configured for highway assignment and that any relevant constraints, like turn restrictions, are appropriately applied. Now, when you click Run, you can check the number of zones, nodes, links, and turn constraints in the loaded data, as seen here. You can also verify if there are any errors in the network. If errors are found during the network check, you won't be able to proceed with highway assignment. Therefore, if there are errors, you need to identify their causes, make the necessary corrections, and ultimately establish a network without errors. Once you've confirmed that there are no errors, click Close. The next step is to explain the network editing section. Network editing can be accessed from the main menu by clicking Network, then Network Data Edit. When you do this, a window for editing will appear as shown. Using this window, you can edit node, link, turn constraint, and transit line. Zone boundaries are not in use, so I'll skip the explanation for editing zone data. Transit line, which represents public transit routes, will be explained later when we cover the public transit section. First, let's talk about node data editing. When you click on the node item, you have the option to add zone node, delete, move, or edit the attributes. To add a general node, click Start while the add item is selected. Then click on the map at the location where you want to add the node. The node will be added there. Adding a zone node is done in a similar manner. If you don't want to add any more nodes, click End or press the ESC key. For node deletion, select an area around the node you want to delete, and you'll be able to choose the node you want to delete. Click OK, then the selected node will be deleted. It's important to note that when you delete a node, any links connected to it will also be deleted, and this action is irreversible. If you choose to move a node, click Start, and then click on the node you want to move to change its location. Moving a node will affect the length of the links connected to it, and the updated lengths are automatically calculated and updated. To edit the attributes of a node, select Attributes, click Start, and then open the Attribute Information window for the desired node to edit its contents. Next, I will show you how to edit link data. Unlike nodes, links can be added as one-way or two-way. This is because, in typical road networks, there are one-way roads to consider, so you can choose to add them selectively. By clicking Add and then Start, you can add links. After you've added the link, you can press Escape or click the End button to complete the editing. When you click on the starting node to add a link, you'll see the attributes of the link that will be added below. These attributes typically include road type, number of lanes, capacity, and speed. It's a good practice to enter appropriate values for these attributes before clicking on the end node to add the link. By doing this, you can add multiple links with the same attribute values until you decide to change those values. If you don't follow this approach, you'll need to individually modify and input values for each segment, which can be quite cumbersome. Link deletion works similarly to adding links. You can choose to delete links in both directions, two-way, or just one direction, one-way. It's essential to consider the directionality of the link when deleting a one-way link. Currently, the links are based on right-hand traffic. The next section is called Vertex. Vertex editing is used when you want to change a virtual road network represented by straight-line links into a more realistic road network with curved or nonlinear features. To use vertex editing, click Vertex, two-way, click Start, then click on the link you want to modify into a curved shape. While holding down the left mouse button, drag it to add vertex nodes to the link, which will change the link's shape from straight to curved or nonlinear. The process for vertex one-way editing is the same as bidirectional editing, but you have the option to apply different linear shapes for each direction as shown. The next feature is editing turn restrictions. This function allows you to prohibit left turns through movements, right turns, or do turns at specific links. When you click Add and then Start, the existing links on the map will be displayed. For example, if you want to prohibit left turns from a particular link, select the approach direction link. Click on the candidate link to restrict the left turn. Set the type to 0, and the turn restriction will be applied. Next, let's discuss map control. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom in or out on the map, and the left mouse button to pan the map. Additionally, there are icons on the map for actions such as viewing the entire map, zooming in, zooming out, panning, going back to the previous view, and moving to the next view. These three icons are useful when viewing two or more scenarios in synchronization. The one with an text symbol represents stopping synchronization. The middle one represents location synchronization, and the rightmost one represents location and scale synchronization. These functions are especially useful when you have at least two different scenarios in your project. When conducting demand analysis, it's common to compare traffic volume and travel time changes between before and after project scenarios. Therefore, these features come in handy when comparing different scenario views. To explain this part, let's start by using the scenario duplication function to add a new scenario. First, from the main menu at the top, click on Scenario, then select Add Scenario. This will open the Add Scenario window. Here, click Add to create two scenarios named Alt1 and Alt2. Now go to the newly created scenario, right-click and choose Add Target Year to add an analysis year. Right-click within the analysis year and select Generate Blank Data. This action will create a data tree similar to the base scenario. However, the data in this scenario is still empty. To copy data from the base scenario, right-click on the base scenario, select Copy To, and check Destined Target, which in this case will be Alt1 and Alt2. It's important to note that this choice involves whether to include model results, such as traffic volume, travel time, etc., which are currently empty as no demand forecasting has been performed yet. Click OK to complete the scenario copy. To delete a scenario, click on the scenario you want to delete. Then right-click to bring up the context menu. From the context menu, choose Delete and make sure to check Delete the files. After checking this option, click Yes, and the scenario will be completely removed from the scenario list. Now let's continue with the explanation of synchronized views. The currently displayed map is for the base scenario 2023. If you double-click on Alt1 Scenarios 2023 on the map, a new tab will open, just like this. These open tabs can be dragged down to reveal the screen splitting options, either horizontally or vertically, by selecting vertical arrangement as shown here. You can arrange two map views side by side. You can also use the same command from the Windows main menu to arrange tabs like this. In each tab, when you click on the location synced icon and move the screen, you will see the screens moving simultaneously, as demonstrated here. However, please note that this icon does not synchronize zooming in and out. It only synchronizes screen. If you want to zoom in out and move two tab screens in the same way. You should click on the location scale synced icon. I can now control two map screens simultaneously. Let me show you when this feature is most commonly used. In this state, I will add a network to the Autumn tab. Think of it as a new role proposal. First, I will split the existing links to add nodes for accessibility. Then, by connecting these nodes with bidirectional link, you can clearly identify the differences between the two networks. When comparing traffic assignment results, using this feature makes it easy to compare traffic volume differences. Now, I will explain how to precisely compare the differences between the two networks. Click on Network Data Matching in Network menu. You can select scenarios and analysis years for columns A and B next. Choose whether you want to compare nodes or links and click Compare. When you start node comparison, a list will be generated. This list indicates that there are nodes in B that are not in A. By clicking the Map button, you can see where these nodes are located. Clicking on Properties allows you to view the attributes of these nodes. This time, let's compare the links. These are links that have been created as a result of dividing the links, and they don't exist in B. They represent new links created by the addition of new roads and intersections. You can filter and view these separately, and if needed, you can also copy them to A or B. Next, I'll explain the Attribute View feature. When you click on Identify, you can choose either node, link, or zone, and then click the icon to view or edit the attributes of the selected data. It's important to note that, unlike the attribute editing within the network data editing section, you cannot modify the type attribute using the attribute view. However, if you navigate to the network data editing section, as shown here, you can see that you have the capability to edit the type attribute and other attributes, providing more extensive attribute editing options. Returning to the attribute view, I'll use link attributes as an example. As you can see, you can review the link attributes here. If, for instance, you want to change the number of lanes to 9 lanes, you would do so and then press the Save button to update the data. Before saving, take a look to the left, where you'll notice the opposite link checkbox. If this option is unchecked and you save, only the selected link will be updated to have 9 lanes, while the opposite direction remains unchanged. However, if you save with the opposite link checked, the opposite direction will also be updated to have 9 lanes. This allows you to make symmetric changes to the link attributes, ensuring consistency in both directions. Next, let's try clicking on the binocular-shaped icon. This icon functions similarly to the Ctrl+F key command and is used to find specific nodes or links on the map. Below that, there's a Delete button that clears the displayed list but doesn't delete the selected links from the map itself. The next items, Select Node, Select Link, and the 3 icons to the right are selection tools. For example, if you choose Select Node, then click the rectangular icon and drag a rectangle over the map. All nodes within that area will be selected. Similarly, when you select Link and define an area, it will also select the links touching the area's boundary. The attributes of the selected links will be displayed in the table below. The icon with the polygon shape allows you to make a polygonal selection, while the icon with the X deselects the selection. You can use this feature when you want to filter and view or modify the attributes of specific data within an area. Additionally, by right-clicking, You can find where a particular node or link is located on the map. If you want to modify the attributes of a link, double-click the cell for that attribute, and a window for attribute editing will appear. You can make your desired modifications, like changing the number of lanes, capacity, and speed. Then, choose whether to save for both directions or only one direction. Check the appropriate box and save. You'll see that the values in the data table below also reflect the changes you made. The Paste and Copy buttons located at the top of the editing window allow for batch copying and pasting of attribute values. You can also use the clipboard icon to paste copied attribute values to all nodes or links displayed in the data table below. This feature is convenient for bulk attribute operations. But please exercise caution, as it pastes all attributes, including names, and there is no way to undo this action. The next icon is the ruler icon, and it's used to measure the distances between links. There are two modes available, multi-select and path select, with the latter being primarily used for route selection. To measure distances, click on the Map button. Select the starting link from which you want to begin measuring the distance. There's no need to select all the links along the path. Instead, you can choose key segments or the final segment. The program will automatically guide you along the shortest path and display distance information for the selected route below. This feature is particularly useful for measuring distances along specific routes without the need to select every link along the way. In addition to measuring distances, this tool is helpful for analyzing various items such as assigned volume, travel times, and more. Next, we have the Map Screen Capture feature. When you click this icon, you can specify the file storage location and file name. This tool captures the map screen, saving it as a bitmap image file. If you want to capture the entire program, it's recommended to use a dedicated Windows screen capture application. Finally, the last icon is for setting the background color of the map screen. This feature is useful for enhancing the visibility of the output when needed. With this, we conclude the lecture on the basic features of TOVA. In the next session, we will practice the process of traffic assignment.